Alright, I just promised one of the Facebook student actually I will make a short videos about the completing the square and especially in negative sign because the student say yeah she can do the completing the square but then she just couldn't do if the completing the square have negative, so I decided to purposely make one video which include negative, and then I will do a little bit on the explaining part. Alright, so okay, over here you can quickly see actually is the equation. When I say in negative over here, what I'm trying to say is the A is negative. The A is negative. When I say A is negative, you should always understand the A here actually means for quadratic equation. So quadratic equation is what? Y equals to ax squared plus bx plus c. So when I say A over here, I mentioned this one. So how I know which one is actually A? Because in your real exam, you will never see A there. A is always the number beside the x squared. Do you see the x squared here? I mean this for quadratic, a cubic equation it will be different. So A is always the number beside the x squared. So for example, so if I have y equals to 5 minus 7 x plus 5x squared. Right, so if in this case the A will be 5. A is always the number beside the x squared, or we call it coefficient of x squared in the mathematic term. So alright, so the negative here I mentioned is for A. So A is negative for completing the square. Something very important you must understand is when A is negative, your graph will give you maximum point. Your graph actually will look like this, and then you will get your maximum point. Okay, so A is negative. One of the very important thing is you will get maximum point or maximum coordinate in your quadratic equation. Alright, but then today I'm going to teach you about completing a square, so I just mentioned a little bit over here because for completing a square, one of the purpose is to help you to find the maximum and the minimum point. Alright, so I just want to let you know whenever your A is negative, your graph will be maximum. I always say something negative happens to you, you will be very sad, right? So if you are very sad, yeah, you will have the sad face, and the sad face you over here you can see here actually give you the maximum. Alright, when A is positive, you will actually smile, and then it will give you minimum. Alright, this is how I memorized at that time. This is how I memorize yeah, the maximum and minimum. So I always think negative thing happens to me, then I will be sad, so it will give me the maximum. Okay, so okay, come back to this one. Okay, so for completing a square, no matter it's positive or negative, you always need to make sure the A is 1. Is positive 1. A is positive 1. If A here is 2 or negative 2, you have to factorize out the coefficient to make it positive 1. Alright, so normally what I will do over here is I will factorize out the negative from first and second term only. Of course, you can factorize out the negative from all the term here. You will get the same answer, but because I used to just factorize out the first two terms, and for me it's easier. So when I factorize out the negative here, so I'm going to add a bracket here, and this one will become x squared. And this one, when I factorize out negative, mean something like factorize out negative 1. This one will become minus 4x. And I close bracket, and then minus 7. The bracket here is very important, especially in this kind of negative case. I will explain why later. So then what I will do next will be I will copy the whatever term I have over here, but I will plus something square minus back something square. Okay, then I will close my bracket, and then I continue copy whatever I have here, minus 7. Okay, just let me to erase this part because I will need more space to actually write. Okay, so if I do like this, the very important thing is what is the bracket square here. Oops, I haven't changed back. What is the bracket square here? And Oh, so many things need to change. It's purple color. Oh my god. Just wait for a while. I want white color. Okay, finally. Okay, what is the thing I'm trying to say is about the bracket square here is always after you factorize out your b value, this one I call a, and then b is the value beside the x, divided by 2. Your b divided by 2. In this case, the b is negative 4, isn't it? So it's negative 4 divided by 2. Negative 4 divided by 2. It's always your b value. If your b is 10, just 10 divided by 2. Alright? Okay? I hope you can understand until this part. Then what I will do next will be, I will actually combine the first 3 terms here, become something square. Alright, so I will copy whatever I have on the top, and the first 3 terms here, I will only take the term with the square. Do you find out this one have the square here, and this one have the square here? So I will take these two. This is x squared, this is negative 2. Okay, if you know negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2, I will not take the square, but I will take x, which is the x here, and then I will do negative 2, I will say minus 2. Why I only take like this? Because if I expand this bracket, so what I will have exactly x squared minus 4x plus 4. You can try to expand like this, x minus 2 multiply x minus 2, and then you will get exactly like this. And you can find this is x squared minus 4x and plus 4. This is plus 4, isn't it? Because negative 2 squared you get plus 4. So basically what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to simplify these 3 terms into a bracket square. I'm trying to simplify these 3 terms into a bracket square. Alright, so if you understand, I'm going to move on and continue. Then after this 3 terms already, I still left 1 term here. So this is minus negative 2 squared, I will get 4. Then I'll close the bracket, minus 7. Okay, here is why I say the negatives is very important. Because the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply the negative into the bracket square here and into the negative 4 here. So what will happen here is I will get y equals to negative. I multiply means I will still leave the negative outside the bracket square. I cannot multiply inside become negative x plus 2. It will be wrong. So when I say I multiply for the whole thing here, means I leave the negative outside. And when I multiply the negative for negative 4, I will get positive 4. And then minus 7. This is minus 7, I just copy. Okay, then the last thing I do is I basically solve out the last term here, which is negative 7 plus 4. So I'll get y equals to negative x minus 2 squared. And then this one will be basically minus 3. Alright, after I done this completing the square, at least you should know how to take out some information from the completing the square. Right? And then you have to, I say many times, you have to recognize the completing the square pattern. So when I say pattern, I'm trying to say is something like this. It's always look like a and then x minus h squared plus k. For completing the square, the pattern is very easy to recognize. First thing is you will see something bracket square here. You see something bracket square here, and then with the x inside it, with the x inside the bracket. The x must be inside the bracket, and then you will see the constant number at the end. And then the a can be exist here or without a. Or without a is still the completing the square, because without a means a over here is 1. So when you see something like this, you know the question trying to ask you to do the completing the square. This is something you must always recognize, because in the exam, for me this is something like bonus mark, because the exam already asked you to change your equation in this form. But a lot of students, when they see this kind of equation, they have no idea what they should do. Of course, the question can try to trick you to change the h and k into something. I can say p plus x minus q square. This one is still the completing square, because I see the bracket square and inside I see the x there, and then p and q obviously is a constant. Alright, so this is completing a square form. Okay, then after you have the completing square form, at least you should know you can get few information from it. First, you can always get the exit symmetry. Exit symmetry. Okay, the axis symmetry over here, you always get inside the bracket. Do you see the bracket square here? You always get inside the bracket and trying to make it equal to 0. So inside the bracket I have x minus 2, right? So I will trying to make x minus 2 equal to 0. So my axis symmetry basically is x equals to 2. And x equals to 2, you should know this one actually is a straight line. A lot of students, when they see x equal to 2, they thought this one is the answer for x. Yes, it is answer of x. And at the same time, as long as you have the equal sign, you should know this one is a straight line. And the straight line will look like this. If I have the graph, this is y, this is x. When x equals to 2, the straight line will be parallel to y-axis and passing to 2. This line, the equation for this line we call x equals to 2. Alright, so if I have x equals to 5, that means I will have the parallel line and I will passing through 5. This line we call x equals to 5. Alright, this is a very important information and knowledge about math and MF. So if I say x equals to negative, you should know this one will be the vertical line. They call it vertical line, and then the vertical line will passing by negative 1. We're passing through a negative 1 in the x-axis. That's why whole line here called x equals to negative 1. And if you think this one doesn't make sense for you, you can try to imagine all the coordinates above here. If this line called x equals to 2, that means if here is 1, 2, 3, we will have all the coordinates here. We call it 2, 1, and then we call it 2, 2, and we call it 2, 3. And you can find all their x over here is 2. That's why this equation of this line we call x equals to 2. So when axis symmetry is x equal to 2, you should know this one basically is a straight line. Alright. Okay, then let me erase this one, and then because I want to explain further a bit. Okay, let me erase the equation pattern also. Okay, so what is the meaning of axis symmetry? Because this is quadratic. Quadratic will always give you a U shape or N shape. And then the U shape or N shape in the mathematics, they have their name. They call parabola. They call parabola if I remember correctly. Yeah, I think it's called parabola shape. Okay, you just ignore about the name if you think this name is very strange to you. What I'm trying to say, the U and N, there must be symmetry. That means the left hand side should always equal to the right hand side. Means this side should always symmetry with this side. That's why this axis basically just cut the U into the half. That's why this line they call axis symmetry. And something very important about axis symmetry is axis symmetry always passing by the minimum point or maximum point they're always passing by the maximum or minimum point, and they're always passing by the x value of the minimum and maximum point. So I would say they're always passing by the x value of minimum or maximum point or coordinates. Because in order to cut the U or N into the half, they must passing through the maximum, the turning point, or they call it stationary point. Because this is symmetry shape. The maximum and minimum always on the middle of it. This concept is very important because sometimes the question actually trying to ask you to find the axis symmetry by giving you some information like this. Example, okay, because I have so limited space, so I will going to erase some things on the top here to explain, because I just want to make sure when I teach completing a square, I can teach you a lot of important information. So let me erase this one and let me just continue. So, because in the exam, one of the common question is something like this. The question gives you the coordinates, giving you the coordinate on the x-axis, and then maybe they give you this is 1, this is 7. And then the question asks you, A, find the axis symmetry. and then ask you to find the axis symmetry, and then they maybe give 1 to 2 mark. Because this is the parabola graph and I say they are symmetry, so your axis symmetry always passing by the middle. If this x value over here, they are 1 to 7, you know actually here you have 6 unit. 7 minus 1, you get 6. So 6 unit, if I divide into half, I will get 3 and 3 here. So at least I can guess my axis symmetry over here, because 1, if I plus 3, I will go into 4. If 7, I minus 3, I will get into 4 also. So I know this axis is going to call x equals to 4. This is my axis symmetry. How do I know my axis symmetry x equals to 4? Because I can understand the importance of the parabola graph. But the parabola graph is trying to tell me both sides is totally symmetry, and then axis symmetry always cut on the middle. Just remember, always cut on the middle. So if you understand this one, sometimes you do not have equation, you can guess your axis symmetry also. Alright, so last but not least, before I end this video, and this equation, you should always know this equation except giving you the axis symmetry, is also give you the maximum and minimum point. Because the maximum and minimum point you can easily get from the equation. So in this case, you will get maximum point because a is negative, like what I say. In the maximum point, you have x and y over here. The x you get inside the bracket, and then it's always same with the axis symmetry. You just opposite symbol. If this is negative 2, this one will be positive 2. If this is positive 2, this one will be negative 2. Must always opposite sign. And then your y value is the only number left outside. It's the only number left outside here is negative 3. Yes, this is your maximum coordinate. So this is another very important reason why you want to do completing a square, because you are trying to find the maximum or minimum point. Of course, you can find only one, in quadratic equation, because it's only u or n. Of course, in cubic equation, you can get more than one maximum and minimum. Means those different equations. Anyways, come back to this one. Alright, so you must remember, whenever you do completing a square, first thing is you can easily get axis symmetry. Second thing is you can easily get maximum or minimum point from the equation. So when I say from the equation, you must able to identify how you get x value. X value is whatever inside the bracket square there, and then you will see whatever number you just opposite sign, and y value is the only number left there. Okay, so when I say like this, I always want to actually give you some example, because I just want to make sure those example can make you understand, because I just want the student, when after they've watched finish my video, actually he understands something, he can get some idea. Alright, so I just trying to make the equation look a bit ridiculous. So let's say 7 minus 4x plus 5 square. So first thing is you have to guess this equation will give you minimum or maximum. So minimum or maximum is always depend on a. So in this case, you say you couldn't find the a. Very easy. A is something beside the bracket square. This is bracket square, right? Beside the bracket square, so you see negative 4. So this is a, right? So a is negative 4. Negative 4 is less than 0. Less than 0 is negative. Negative, you will feel very sad. So therefore, if will give you maximum. Alright, it's the first information you already got is maximum. Then after maximum, you should get the coordinates x value and y value from the equation. Alright, like what I say just now. X value very easy. Just now I say, do you see a bracket square here? Bracket square here. So whatever sign here, you just opposite. So over here you will see positive 5, you just write negative 5. Alright, and the y value is the only value alone, means because this one we consider it together one term. So only alone over here is 7. So the y value will be 7. Alright, this is something very important. If the question give you another mark. He's trying to ask you what is the axis symmetry. So what is the axis symmetry? Axis symmetry, I say always passing by the x value of the minimum or maximum point. So it's x equals to -5. Or just now I teach you another method is whatever inside the bracket, you just take it out, make it equals to 0. So I make x plus 5 equal to 0, so I can get x equals to -5. This one will be my axis symmetry. In the exam, I think it's just 1 mark if the question asks you to do the axis symmetry. Of course, in most of the exam, they'll ask you to sketch the graph. They'll ask you to sketch the graph, especially in the completing the square question. So if you want me to sketch a graph, I can actually sketch very, very fast. Because if you want to sketch the graph, I only need to know about what is the shape pattern and then what is the y-intercept, and of course my maximum and minimum point. So this is how I sketch the graph. So first thing is, of course, I will get the exit. Okay, obviously I will need more space, because if in this case it's -5, so I trying to, okay, so because I know -5 and 7, I have to imagine where is -5 and 7. -5, if this is x-axis, this is y-axis, -5 will be somewhere here, 7 will be somewhere here. But I will not plot the coordinate first, then only I sketch, because I think they weren't going to waste me a lot of time. Right, so normally I will straight away sketch and then only I plot. But whenever the question asks me to sketch the graph, I will always find y-intercept. Means the curve going to passing by the y-axis in one coordinates, in one point. Means the curve going to cut the y-axis in one point. So for y-intercept, x is always equal to 0. So I will substitute x equal to 0 into this equation. So you just imagine, so if I substitute in, it will be y equals to 7 minus 4. This is 0 plus 5, so it will be 5 squared, will be 25. Right, so this one is basically is -100. So in this case, the number is very big. It will be -93. So if you want me to sketch the graph like this, I will sketch. So yeah, if I know my y-intercept is this value, I mean like this. So what I will do is I will sketch this one again. Okay, so I will trying to make my x-axis higher a bit. So then I will -97 is somewhere here, so I will just randomly, oops, this is terrible, because I trying to like sketch the parabola. Okay, it's still very terrible for me. Okay, let me make a small one. Okay, something like this. Alright, so then only I plot my coordinates. This one will be -5 and 7, because the 7 going to be here and -5 going to be here, and then he will cut the y-intercept, which is -93. This is my x-axis, my y-axis. So in order to sketch the graph perfectly, so what you need to do is, of course you have to find out your maximum minimum point first, and then you're trying to visualize, because in the graph you have 4 parts, right? You're trying to visualize means you're trying to imagine which part actually the coordinate the maximum or minimum coordinate are located at. Then you find your y-intercept. Always make your x equals to 0, and then you substitute into your equation. You can find out one y value. That value is your curve going to cut on the y-axis at that value. Then you can easily sketch the graph, and then sketch the graph. SPM actually will give you 3 marks, I think. Alright, I think that's all for this video. I hope you really enjoyed this video, and at least you learned something from this video. If you have any question, or you have any question about this video and you couldn't understand, please let me know either on my Facebook, on my YouTube, or on my Telegram. Alright, anyways, thanks for watching. See you guys next time. Bye.